Every second of my waking life is combat sport. I live for it. I own it.
I am my soul, and my soul is connected to the highest power.
Conor, you're back.
I never went nowhere. I've been here.
The most anticipated MMA comeback in years. 5 years of silence, 5 years of controversies, 5 years of fans wondering if they would ever see him inside the octagon again.
This is his persona. He's out there, he's aggressive, he's brash, he does what he wants.
Conor McGregor's massive UFC comeback ended in horrible fashion against Max Holloway on Saturday night at UFC 329.
And as he throws this left kick, take a look at his right leg. Look at the position it's in. Bam. Blows out right there.
After 5 years of inactivity, the Dubliner packed out T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas with almost 20,000 fans and a gate of what Dana White claimed was more than $25 million. And then, in 69 seconds, it was all gone.
At 1 minute, 9 seconds of round number 1.
Massive disappointment for Conor McGregor, my gosh.
This is the full story of what happened, what McGregor said after, and what it all means for the future of one of the most polarizing figures the sport has ever seen. Stick around. The biggest gate in UFC history. Let's set the stage because you need to understand the scale of what was riding on this fight. UFC 329 topped UFC 306 at the Sphere for the highest grossing gate in UFC history. The $25 million haul was a direct result of Conor McGregor's return to competition. Think about that for a second. Not a title fight, not a grudge match between two pound-for-pound killers in their prime. Just the promise of Conor McGregor walking back into a cage again. That was enough to break every record the promotion ever set.
I just use that as motivation. Lovely. I wish for it to be that way, because now I can show.
Dana White, a man who has seen it all, could barely contain himself when he announced the numbers ahead of the event. White told ESPN, "The Conor McGregor effect is huge. Our biggest gate ever was the Sphere, $22 million. This gate beat it at $25 million. So this is the biggest gate in UFC history for his return. The city is buzzing. The city of Las Vegas was buzzing. T-Mobile Arena was electric. Fans had traveled from Ireland, from all over Europe, from across the globe just to witness the return of the Notorious."
That was the ultimate holy moment of all time.
Ticket prices were through the roof. The cheapest seats were going for nearly $1,000, with the average ticket clocking in at over $1,500. And people paid it. They paid it gladly. McGregor now anchors 4 of the top 5 UFC gates of all time. That is the power of this man. That has always been the power of this man. Even in decline, even after 5 years away, even after everything that had surrounded him off the canvas, the moment his name appeared on a fight card, the world stopped and paid attention. Nobody does it like McGregor. Nobody even comes close. And that is exactly why what happened next made it so devastating for everyone involved. The pre-fight build-up, Mac is back. McGregor, 37 years old, hadn't fought since 2021 and held a 1-3 record in his last 4 fights, entering as the longest-priced underdog of his UFC career. None of that seemed to matter. The Notorious was back, and he made sure everyone knew it. With a series of barbs and provocations straight out of the Notorious playbook, the ramp-up to UFC 329 swerved into spicier territory on Thursday. The brash McGregor, who had not fought in 5 years, fielded most of the questions while alternately sitting, standing, and gesticulating on the dais at the pre-fight press conference at T-Mobile Arena. McGregor proclaimed that Mac is back and spewed vitriol at Holloway, whom he had defeated by unanimous decision back in 2013. McGregor had a specific prediction for Saturday night. He looked straight at Holloway and said, "I forecast Holloway's retirement on Saturday night." Classic McGregor. The jaw, the eyes, the absolute certainty radiating off every word. Before the fight, he had also told Ariel Helwani about his fight contract, revealing that a second date was already signed, locked, and ready. McGregor said,
Right now, I am contracted and I have both dates. I have both dates for my fight. I have July 11th.
And I have, where would you think they would put me back in? When would you think they would put me back in? April 2027. It's almost a year later. The man was already thinking past Holloway, planning the next fight, dreaming big. He even told reporters he wanted to fight 3 or 4 times a year. 52 fights in a year, a fight a week, he joked. The Mac was back, or so we all thought. The walkout that said everything. If you thought Conor McGregor's aura had taken a hit during his years on the sidelines, you would have to admit that you were misled as T-Mobile Arena darkened and the first bars of the Foggy Dew were played. Over half a decade hampered by multiple controversies and court cases, McGregor may have appeared to have fallen into the disgraced celebrity category as opposed to that of legendary fighters, but something was off. And the MMA internet noticed it immediately. Questions over McGregor's fitness emerged even before the opening bell. During the official pre-fight broadcast, the Irish star appeared to stumble slightly while removing his shoes before making his way into the octagon. The clip quickly spread across social media, prompting speculation that something might have been wrong before the fight had even begun. And those who watched the walkout carefully noticed something else. No swagger, no intensity, none of that world-famous locked-in McGregor focus. Fan favorite Max Holloway was loudly booed throughout fight week, and McGregor was heralded as a returning hero by not just the promotion but many of his fellow fighters. The crowd was on his side completely. He had every reason to be electric, but the face said something different. The eyes said something different. Something was wrong. You could feel it, and within seconds of the opening bell, everyone found out exactly what. 69 seconds. That's all it took. The fight begins. The crowd erupts. 5 years of waiting, 5 years of hype, 5 years of Mystic Mac predictions, of Proper 12 whiskey, of courtrooms and controversies and comebacks teased and canceled. It all comes down to this moment, and McGregor does something nobody expected as his very first move. He charges across the octagon and launches a flying switch kick directly at Max Holloway's head. Fighting for the first time in more than 5 years, McGregor flew across the canvas with a flying left roundhouse kick when the match started and landed awkwardly on his right knee. That is all it took. One kick, one landing. The knee buckled. You could see it in real time. McGregor looked to land a jumping scissor kick as soon as the fight began. And when he landed, you could see his knee give, drawing a visible reaction from the returning Irishman. He tried to persevere, slipping to the canvas twice, with Max Holloway asking referee Mike Beltran if he wanted to intervene. The fight continued, and when they stood, Holloway landed one kick, McGregor took an unsure step back, and the fight was waved off. Joe Rogan on commentary broke it down in real time, saying, he runs out at the start of the fight, jumps and throws a kick. And then Rogan said what we were all seeing with our own eyes. He said, watch his right leg, right there. Blows his knee out right there. He tries to throw it again and it buckles. He winces in pain.
He jumped up, he threw it, and he landed with his knee in the worst position.
And then he tries to throw it again, and it buckles.
The official result was a Holloway victory in just 69 seconds. 69 seconds. The most anticipated MMA comeback fight in years, gone in 69 seconds. The crowd inside T-Mobile Arena, which had been absolutely volcanic all night long, went silent. Then they booed loudly. The 20,000 people who had paid a record gate to see this man fight had gotten nothing, and everyone felt it simultaneously. McGregor's reaction, gone without a word. Here is where it gets dark. McGregor didn't stick around after the anticlimactic UFC 329 main event, ditching both his post-fight interview and the press conference, walking straight out of the arena barefoot. He did not even wait to put his shoes back on. He did not talk to Joe Rogan. He did not give the crowd a moment. He did not stand next to Holloway and clap his hands in respect. McGregor walked out of T-Mobile Arena immediately after his loss in the main event of UFC 329 and straight into a waiting car, and then silence. Nothing. For hours, there was nothing from Conor McGregor, and then late in the night, in the hours after UFC 329 ended, his phone broke the silence. Following the fight, McGregor took to social media to issue a statement about what happened. He wrote, "My head gasket is gone, destroyed. I had no injury going into the fight. I was throwing kicks, planted and jumping all throughout camp as well as backstage before the fight. This came out of nowhere. I am beyond dark here. I can only describe it as hell. Hell, that is the word he chose. Not unfortunate, not heartbreaking. Hell. And that tells you everything about where Conor McGregor's head is right now. This is a man who spent 5 years building back toward this moment and had it ripped away in the very first seconds of the fight he spent 5 years preparing for. He wrote that the injury came out of nowhere and that he was so sharp and so ready for this fight. The statement was brief, raw, and devastating, and it immediately raised even more questions. Dana White weighs in, and the conspiracy theories start. UFC CEO Dana White, like many others, was wildly disappointed with the bout's ending. He said he hadn't spoken to McGregor yet about the injury, but revealed what doctors suspect he is dealing with.
Listen, everybody who knows anything about the fight business, and it's been a big topic of discussion leading up to this fight, 5 years off in this sport is rough.
And then Dana dropped the diagnosis that everyone feared. White said, "We're assuming a blown ACL. I'm no doctor, but that's what I figured when I saw it, and the doctors think the same thing too." Blown ACL on the first kick of his comeback fight. After 5 years away, after all of that, it is almost too cruel to believe. But here is where things get murky, because the moment that fight ended, the internet went into conspiracy mode. Viral pre-fight footage showing McGregor stumbling fueled speculation that the former champion might have entered the octagon carrying an undisclosed injury. People were rewinding the pad work videos from backstage. They were freezing frames. They were isolating specific moments where his footwork looked slightly off. Was he already hurt? Did he go in knowing something was wrong? Dana White was asked directly about this, and he fired back hard. After initially stepping away from the microphone, White returned and said, "Just on my accounts, the face-off is at 80 million views, right? So if there was a pre-existing injury, somebody would have noticed it." The doctors cleared McGregor before the fight. McGregor himself denied it fully in his statement. White didn't get a chance to speak with McGregor directly, but McGregor was seen leaving and declining the use of crutches. Declining crutches. Walking out on a potentially torn ACL because the pride of Conor McGregor would not allow him to be seen limping out of that arena. That image says everything about this man. Max Holloway gets the win nobody wanted. Now, let's talk about the other man in this story, because Max Holloway deserves better than what he got on Saturday night. Holloway said afterward to a booing T-Mobile Arena,
"Let's give it up for Conor McGregor, guys. What an absolute animal."
"I was trying to call the fight off, and he kept asking to fight on. But you guys are lucky because there's going to be a Holloway versus McGregor 3 now. Let's get this money, boys," he added. "What can I say? I had him weak in the knees, I guess." Holloway, give him credit, tried to salvage the moment. He tried to give the crowd something to get excited about. A trilogy, Holloway versus McGregor 3. But the crowd booed him anyway. Not because they hate Holloway, but because they had just paid thousands of dollars and gotten 69 seconds. Nobody was in the mood for anything right then. It was a horrible ending to what was otherwise an amazing fight card, as fans had spent thousands of dollars to travel to Las Vegas to see McGregor's return after 5 years away from the cage. After the fight ended in such anticlimactic fashion, fans booed and quickly left the arena, feeling they did not get their money's worth. And here is the really painful part for Holloway. This win goes on his record. Good, he deserves it. But in terms of narrative momentum, in terms of resurgence, in terms of the highlight reel he will show his grandchildren, he got absolutely nothing from this. Holloway said he would discuss the possibility of staging another fight with McGregor when the Irishman recovers, adding, "It is what it is. I'm gonna sit down with the UFC." So much hype for that right there. We've got to run it back one more time. One more time. For the boys. The eerie historical parallel nobody is talking about here is something wild that almost nobody is leading with, and it absolutely deserves its own moment. In his first fight against Holloway all the way back in 2013, McGregor tore his left ACL in the bout and still ended up winning by decision. In this 2026 rematch, McGregor lost because of an injury to his right knee. Let that sink in. In the first fight, he tears his left knee and wins. In the rematch, 13 years later, he blows out his right knee and loses. Both fights, both knees, both opponents. Max Holloway. McGregor famously suffered a blown-out knee 13 years ago in his first UFC meeting against Max Holloway. More than a decade later, history repeated itself in the most anticlimactic way possible at UFC 329. The difference is that in 2013, McGregor was 25 years old, all ligaments and hunger and fire. He fought through it, he gritted his teeth and won a decision with a torn ACL because that version of Conor McGregor was simply built differently. In 2026, at 37, days away from turning 38, the body just does not do what the mind demands anymore. In the years since McGregor last won a UFC title, he is just 1-4 inside the octagon with 4 stoppage losses, 2 career-threatening injuries, and a 40-second squash of a badly faded Donald Cerrone in 2020. The numbers are ugly, and they only got uglier on Saturday night. The 5-year saga that led to this moment. To truly understand the weight of Saturday night, you need to understand what the last 5 years of McGregor's life actually looked like. McGregor was supposed to headline UFC 303 opposite Michael Chandler, but a toe injury forced him to withdraw from that bout, and he was not booked again until the Holloway rematch was announced. McGregor was also at the center of numerous controversies during his 5-year hiatus, including being found liable for sexual assault in a civil suit in 2024, and an aborted presidential run in his native Ireland in 2025.
I'm here today outside where we are over 200 days into the formation of current government.
5 years of chaos. 5 years of headlines that had nothing to do with fighting.
It's the hardest sport in the world, and to come back after 5 years away, I mean, no one could have foreseen this.
Between breaking his leg in 2021 and suffering a fresh injury on Saturday, he broke his toe in 2024 to thwart a bout with Michael Chandler. McGregor's rematch with Holloway was not only his first fight since his broken leg and broken toe, but also his first bout since a civil jury found him liable for. He appealed the verdict, but to no avail. He came back carrying all of that weight, all of that baggage.
I just want to say I'm thankful to the DA and the judge for allowing me to move forward.
And he tried to fight anyway. Say what you want about the man that took guts. A series of false start comebacks featuring plenty of hurrying up and waiting dominated most of the last 5 years, including a disappointing withdrawal from a 2024 fight against Michael Chandler during International Fight Week, just 16 days out from UFC 303, for a broken toe that led to speculation about whether McGregor had simply been waiting for an excuse to call it off. So when he actually showed up at UFC 329, when he actually made the walk, when he actually touched gloves, a part of MMA Twitter genuinely could not believe it was real. He was actually there. He was actually doing it. And then in one terrible, horrible moment, it was all over again. What happens next? The brutal reality. Now for the big question. What the hell happens now? McGregor had earmarked an April 2027 date for his next fight after UFC 329 was done. If his knee injury is as bad as feared, that is pretty much off the table. Think about that timeline. A torn ACL, if that is what it is, typically requires 9 to 12 months of recovery.
You can see his leg shift. He blew his ACL out with the very first movement he did.
He turns 38 on Tuesday. He would be approaching 39 by the time he is cleared to fight again, with one fight left on his contract. His record now at 22-7 and 2 consecutive first-round injury stoppages on his recent resume. White and other UFC officials have to be questioning whether they can trust McGregor to headline a major show. He has fought 4 times since 2018, and the last 2 ended in first-round injury stoppages. As much star power as McGregor provides, that is undercut when he cannot deliver. White was even asked whether it might be time for McGregor to consider retirement, and the UFC boss gave a very telling answer. White said, "I do feel that way, but it's the guys that start saying, I've been thinking about retiring. The minute you start talking or thinking about retiring, you absolutely, positively should." I haven't heard that from him yet, but he hasn't spoken publicly yet.
I do feel that way, but it's the guys that start saying, I've been thinking about retiring. And
Translation, Dana White thinks it might be time, but he is waiting for McGregor himself to say the words first.
And take a few more million from the UFC and then officially retire after that. Thank you.
The question now facing UFC brass is whether McGregor's box office appeal still outweighs the damage to his credibility as a legitimate contender. His star power remains undeniable, but Saturday's showing suggested the athletic prime that carried him to featherweight and lightweight gold may be permanently behind him. No timetable has been announced for McGregor's next move, though his social media activity suggests he has not ruled out another attempt to salvage his legacy inside the cage. And that is Conor McGregor in a nutshell, is it not? The sport says stop, the body says stop, the numbers say stop, and somewhere in Dublin, in whatever dark place he is sitting in right now, the man is probably already planning the comeback, because that is who he is. That has always been who he is. Whether that instinct serves him or destroys him at this point in his career is an entirely different conversation. The shocking announcement: McGregor breaks his silence. A heartbroken Conor. McGregor says he is destroyed and beyond dark after his long-awaited comeback fight at UFC 329 ended in an underwhelming 69-second defeat to Max Holloway. And those words from his own statement are the most important words to focus on right now.
Yeah, so I did fake the knee injury because I knew Max was about to clap my cheeks harder than Khabib did.
Because the question everyone is asking is not just whether his knee will heal. It is whether Conor McGregor, the person, can come back from this psychologically. Think about what just happened. He spent 5 years rebuilding everything. His body after the broken leg, his reputation after the controversies, his focus after years of what he himself has called getting lost in life. He found religion. He got back in the gym. He lost weight. He moved to welterweight. He walked out to the foggy dew in front of 20,000 people who were desperate for him to be great again. And in 69 seconds, on the very first kick he threw, it evaporated. His statement said it all.
The way he landed, he threw the kick, he jumped up, he threw it, and he landed his knee in the worst position.
Describing the scene as hell, saying the injury came out of nowhere, and making clear that he was so sharp and so ready for this fight. That is not the statement of a man who is thinking about his next fight yet. That is the raw, unfiltered sound of a human being who just had something taken from him that he cannot get back. The moment, the comeback, the chance to rewrite the ending. No matter the injury's origin, the most anticipated fight of the year. The return of UFC's biggest star after a roughly 1 out in 800 day absence ended in silence, shock, and disappointment. 1 out in 800 days. That is how long the MMA world waited. And we got 69 seconds. That number will haunt everyone who cares about this sport for a long time. So what do you think? Can Conor McGregor come back from this? Should he? Or is Saturday night at UFC 329 the image the sport carries as his final chapter? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and before you leave, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to MMA Rivals so you don't miss the next ones.